All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Josh Oakes, and we are on Facebook Live today talking about my favorite topic, inspiring younger kids to realize that no matter what your age, it is never too early to start planning for your resume. Yeah, you're thinking, oh, it's all about college, elementary school, middle school. We're talking to our kids about college. Yes, but also I have two experts on with me here today that will show you that it is so much more. And they're from two different phases of life that I think are so important to inspire your children to be thoughtful in what they do online. You see, we here at safesmartsocial.com, we want your student to be vibrant online. Be a fun teenager. Show that you're doing great things, but we also want you to be strategic in what you're putting online so that it shows your interests. I have two incredible people here today, and so thankful to have a Harvard student at Harvard University that's going to be a junior. And also we have a corporate recruiter on with us live that's going to show you, hey, it's never too early to start thinking about that resume. So let me go ahead and talk first. Brenna Harwell is coming at us live from here in Southern California, Marina Del Rey. She's a corporate recruiting manager at the DuMont Project. Brenna, welcome. You talk a little bit about how a resume might not be the most robust way to showcase who you are, and that there's something else that we should consider using. What is that?
Absolutely. So especially for younger teenagers or young adults coming out into the professional scene, a resume isn't really going to show that much. You know, you have research opportunities, maybe you have a retail job or an after-school position, but that's not going to tell a recruiter very much about what you're interested in, what your talents really are, and what you eventually want to do. So what I always suggest is go to social media. Obviously, I'm not saying meet strangers on the internet, but as a recruiter, the internet is my best resource.
Yeah.
Everything from having a LinkedIn, a Facebook that shows off your personality, a Twitter that shows off your interests. And then if you have talents or projects, I suggest putting those on there as well. Make yourself searchable.
Yeah, make yourself searchable. I want to come back to you and we're going to come back to you in just a quick sec, and we're going to talk about how you search for people. I would love to let people know way ahead of time how a corporate recruiter is going to search for them. All right, now we're over to Henna Hundal, and she is going to be a junior at Harvard University. Harvard is in the news, one of the best brands in the whole world. I want you to talk a little bit about what you're studying there, and I also want you to talk a little bit about how your resume should talk about a little bit about your interests and how it shouldn't be too broad, but also what should it be instead of too broad.
Got it. Hello, everyone. My name is Henna, as you mentioned, and I'll be a rising junior at Harvard, and I'm studying human developmental and regenerative biology, which is essentially stem cell biology. To the point about how broad or how narrow your resume should be, I mean, I'm not here to tell anyone to constrict, especially high school students, to constrict their resume to only a few certain areas. Mm-hmm. And of course, I think no one expects a young middle school or a high school student to have their life planned out and to know what field they're ultimately going to contribute in terms of a career. But I think it's really important from a resume to kind of get a feel of a developing interest in a particular field or fields among that student. So instead of kind of narrowly or broadly diving into so many different topics and just sort of dipping your toes, I think it's really great to see a high school student or a young kid really diving into a particular area they find interesting. And so I think in that way, we don't have to say, okay, stick to the sciences or stick to the arts. You can do a combination, but find a really interesting niche and explore it fully. I think that shows thoughtfulness, that shows authenticity, and that shows an employer or a college that you could be really valuable in that particular area, that you have a skill, you have a strength that they could really utilize that maybe no other student can offer. That's what I would offer.
That's really wise. Okay, let's go back over to Brenna. Brenna, tell us, as a corporate recruiter, and we're blending stuff here, college and internships and your job, really all the same thing. We're all searching for you online. All of you high schoolers, you think, oh, I can get away, I can change my username. You won't find my Facebook, right? I mean, we as employers, we go, wait, why are you hiding? You're a young professional, you're a high school, you're a teenager, you should be on social media. What's going on, right? So, Brenna, if you could just tell us a couple of the ways that you're searching for people online. Not to sound creepy, but we have to. This is our reference, right? I mean, I tell people flat out, I go, give us your social media accounts. We want to see how vibrant you are. It's okay to be silly. It's okay to have fun. But we want to know who you're going to be when you join our team. How are you searching for people online, and what do you love to find?
Yeah, well, right off the bat, we have a kind of jokey rule, but once you put something on the internet, it never goes away. And a lot of companies that I'm using really tap into that. So for example, I rely on Intella whenever I'm looking for really great talent. And what they do is if I search anyone that applies for a role, they're in the last stage for any interview process, I want to take a look at their personality. I want to take a look at who they really are when they think nobody is paying attention. So I'll use Intello, I'll search the name, and they'll provide an aggregate of every social media account, every online profile that is connected to that person. And I can go in and look at what is this person tweeting about, what's on their Facebook, what are the things that they're genuinely interested in, passionate about, or talking about. It's really easier than ever to find everything, even if the usernames have changed over the years.
Well, and that's a really interesting point, because people think I'll change my username, or my Twitter handle has nothing to do with my name. It's hotbody37, right?
We'll find it.
From my book, because people think it's, but that's really interesting. You change your username, it still follows you. So we're going to come back to you. I want to hear, what is the actual search term that you're going to put in Google if you were to search for me? I want you to think about that. Like, is it Josh Oaks? Actually, let's do it right now, just real quick. Is it Josh Oaks, and then you put the city name? Like, what are you searching for to find a candidate and to best understand who they are online?
It can be a combination, and it's not just Google. There are specific search tools that I'm using 9 times out of 10. But if I'm looking for somebody, I have their resume, I know what they've done in the past. That's usually a pretty good starting point. So either typing in a former city, former employer, where they went to school. Recruiting is kind of a business where we joke about being cyber stalkers, but that's really the job. We want to make sure these people are who we want to have in our company and that are going to be positive contributors in the long term.
Yeah. So Henna, back over to you. Let's talk about, you're on campus, you're doing great things. You know that getting into Harvard is not now life's over. It's great. You're working hard. And what are some of the things that you're doing to build an awesome online, vibrant presence to then find the right internships so that you can launch when you graduate in T-2 years, which is so exciting, so that you can find the right career for yourself? What are some of the things that you're doing?
Great question. And I'd actually like to launch into that by co-signing Brenna's point about the importance of maintaining a really wholesome and appropriate online presence. I think, I don't want to be too harsh on young kids today, because we are the first generation facing this online world where everything is preserved for posterity, and no other generation had to deal with that before, right? You could burn a letter, you could rip up an envelope, but everything we write, every email we send, every text message we send could be screenshotted and saved for posterity. But I don't say this to startle young people, but I do say it to help them be very thoughtful about the type of image and persona that they're creating for themselves online. And I think it's essential that your online persona jibe or match with your everyday public persona in the real world. If those are discongruent, that could be a real issue. So for example, if you present yourself in a particular way on your resume, you have a lot of great skills, you show yourself to be a really wholesome person, but a quick Google search and your Twitter feed pops up and it can sort of startle an employer or a college, that's a problem. Yeah. So I think making sure that how you present yourself in real life and in a resume is the same way that you present yourself on social media. Because oftentimes an employer or a potential college that you're applying to that maybe hasn't met you yet or hasn't interviewed yet will use your presence online to gauge the type of person that you are. It's just the way that it works. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, but that's the reality that we're facing. And I think young people need to be aware of that for their own best interests.
So Henna, do you have somebody that advises you? Have you had somebody, and I know I've had this over the years, somebody says, hey, I don't know if, I'm usually the most PC guy in all of my friends groups, but I know that it's always wise to have people that are seeing you from a third party that might love you and say, hey, I don't care what you think. this post or this behavior might not be the right fit to put online. Do you have somebody in your life that's doing that, or do you suggest that people have that? How do people, because we're not all created equal, sometimes we want to complain online, which everybody should have a bad day. Everybody should have a day that they vent. But who do you go to make sure that you're doing things online that make you shine online?
Right. Well, I don't particularly go online to vent. And I think that's really key. More so than someone telling me you shouldn't do this, I look at the examples of people who have and how that could really affect their lives. I mean, you see news story after news story of someone venting about a particular topic, and not just venting or complaining in a particularly productive way, but in a harsh, critical, mean, just nasty way. Mm-hmm. And then you can see the ramifications. There's so many news articles of people losing jobs, or colleges reacting negatively. So I think you don't have to make that mistake to learn it. Yeah. Look at the people who've done it. And young people, we have access to the news. We can read these stories. It's happened before, so don't let it happen to yourself to learn the lesson, I think.
Yeah, and it happened at Harvard, not to pick on anything, but it happened at Harvard recently, where everybody that's watching this has probably heard 10 incoming potential freshmen were accepted, and they were on Facebook, and they thought, oh, I can make a private group, a super secret private group, and invite some people. And they said things that if those behaviors were also in real life, they probably weren't Harvard's best fit, right? And Harvard made a tough decision to say these 10 people that were in this group that were choosing to behave in this way are not going to be a part of our family, which I think is the right fit, because also students all over the country need to know that you think you're private and nothing is searchable and you're fine. Unfortunately, you need to see these stories that big organizations choose to either accept you into their family, as I call it, or not. That's because long after you are at Harvard, you are part of their brand, whether you like it or not. You're going to run around and people are going to see that on your resume and equate your values and your behaviors to that school. And you are branding them for the rest of your life, right? And so I think those stories are unfortunate, but they are very, very powerful. Brenna, over to you one more time. What are some things that people can do when they're applying for an internship, a career, or whatever, that they can do to make sure that what you see is something that's vibrant and in line with who they really are?
Oh, man. And just to kind of touch on what happened with the Harvard students, we see that all the time when it comes to potential employees as well. Yeah. People think that their Facebook is private, so they'll post something that maybe isn't PC. Maybe it is disrespectful, discriminatory. That's an automatic out. This person could be the exact right fit skill set wise and passion wise, but if they're going to ruin our employer brand or make our company less of a family environment and the culture that we really strive for, there's not a chance that we're going to bring them in. So when it comes to cultivating the right messaging, it really comes down to knowing where you're posting and where you're sharing, and knowing that it is all accessible. So I do always have, a mentor or a parent or a third party go in and say, maybe this isn't what my son or daughter should be posting. I think teenagers don't want their family to see their social media, but it is a resource for them. So if not a family member, then maybe a friend, maybe a teacher, whoever it is, especially if you're about to submit a college application or an internship application, just to do a once over and set everything that you can to private, and then start exploring industry-specific social media tools like DeviantArt if you're going into creative, or Twitter is huge if you're going into marketing, or GitHub or Stack Overflow if you're taking a look at engineering opportunities. There are places where you can really shine.
Yeah. And then also, we always tell students, go search for yourself online. Find out all these other people that care less about your online image who are stealing your thunder, and go buy joshoaks.com or your personal web domain, which is going to come up first, and start building an online presence, right? Like for whatever you want to be known for.
And there are so many easy tools for that, like even Wix and Squarespace. You don't have to know anything about coding or development, but you can start highlighting school projects or, things that you've built with friends. It's worth it.
Very wise. Yeah. Henna, I want to leave you, give you the last word. I want to ask you, what are some things you're seeing students are doing positive on campus that are helping them get internships? Are there any great examples that you might have, or stuff that you've done that you would leave high school students with to let them know how to use these devices with a purpose instead of just a pastime?
Yeah. I think one really interesting trend that I'm finding is a lot of people, or young children especially, leading social media type movements. So I think you get a fix, you get your social media dose, but you're doing it in a very positive way about an issue you care about. So you get to post, you get to be a part of this platform and this really interesting space, but you're doing it on behalf of a charity or on behalf of a cause. That's something that I've noticed a lot of people doing, particularly young people on Instagram, on Facebook, having particular pages for different causes that they're taking up. And I think that's a really positive way to amplify your online presence, but in a manner that an employer or a college would love to see.
Yeah, very, very wise. Well, I want to thank both of you for being a part of this today and taking a little bit of time out of your busy schedule to do this. Those of you that are watching right now, this is brought to you by Parent University. I travel the country teaching teenagers how to be smart on the web, how to be positive and put their best foot forward. And a lot of parents have questions about what are the bad apps that I should tell my teens not to be on so they don't waste their time on Ask FM or some of these other anonymous apps that are full of cyberbullying, because kids genuinely do sometimes want to do good work. And so we have a program called Parent University. We have the link below. And this teaches parents the 20 worst apps really quickly that their kids should not be on and why and what they are. It also teaches you how to navigate Snapchat, because we all know that your high school and middle schooler don't want to teach you. They're frustrated with it. And we also teach you a few hidden techniques in Instagram. We show all of this to you, and we have a back to school special where all fall we teach parents. It's $9 a month. It's called Parent University. It makes you the smartest parent on the block so that your kids are safe and smart on the web, and they're building a positive online portfolio for their future. You can learn more at safesmartsocial.com or click the link below, where we geek out in short little periods to try and give you 3 minutes here and 3 minutes there to keep you safe and smart on the web. I couldn't be more honored to have our awesome guests here today. And thank you for all of you that are watching or listening on our podcast. I'm Josh Oakes. As always, make sure you're keeping it light, bright, and polite. We'll see you guys all soon on the next episode. Have a great day.